This happened near Crater Lake National Park, Oregon. A young college student was at home with her parents and decided to head to the library to catch up on some studying, and she never made it home. The family filed a missing persons report and a search began for the missing girl. 2 days into the search, they find the girl's abandoned vehicle parked on the side of the highway that ran up into Crater Lake, quite a distance from the library she was supposed to have been studying at. They gathered searchers and went up into the woods from where the vehicle was parked. It was quite a steep incline and many boulders made it difficult to trek. A few miles in, they found the young girl's shoes, clothing, and other personal items just laid out across the ground. Confused, they continued on, and about 8 miles into the woods, they find the poor girl, alive, naked, sitting on a boulder. It was like she was in a trance and was suddenly snapped out of it. She had no idea where she was, how she had gotten there, or why she was naked. The last thing she remembered was being at the library, then the rest was a blank. The girl had no mental illness and was not a drug user. One of the strangest cases I've ever came upon. This happened out at Mount Shasta. I was hiking alone along one of the trails, and a few hours into my hike, I started hearing what sounded like a woman calling my name. She was saying my name over and over. It was really bizarre. It wasn't too far off in the distance, so I decided to follow the voice, and it led me to a cave. I entered the cave, and the voice continued from inside the cave, just saying my name over and over. I continued until I felt like it was all around me. I got to the end of the cave, and there was nobody there. Next thing I know, I woke up on the ground like I had some sort of blackout. I don't know how long I was out, but it was beginning to get dark. I quickly gathered myself and made it back to my vehicle. Really strange, to this day I have no idea what happened, why I blacked out, or who that woman was that was saying my name. I'm a police officer, and I live near the Smoky Mountains. I got a call one night that a man in a mask was terrorizing people on one of the trails. My partner and I decided to head out and go check it out. As we pulled up and parked our car, we got out and headed towards the trail where the incident supposedly occurred. As we were making our way up the trail, I could hear movement to my left, branches breaking and footsteps. It was beginning to get dark out, so I shined my flashlight, and there was a man standing there in a mask holding an axe. I asked the man to drop the axe and step out onto the trail. The man did as I asked, and I started to have a conversation with this individual, but as I was beginning to ask him for identification and what he was doing out here, I noticed noise on either side of me. And at that moment, at least 15 more people stepped out of the tree line, all wearing masks and holding axes and knives and all kinds of weapons. I could hear what sounded like more coming out of the forest as well. It was like I was trapped in some kind of horror movie. The man I had originally spoken to looked me in the eyes and said, "If you know what's good for you, you will go back to your vehicle and leave this area." It was just myself and my partner, so outnumbered and isolated, we made our way back to our police vehicle, radioed for backup, and drove out of there. When we returned with many more officers, they were all gone, and we were never able to identify or locate these people again. I saw my life flash before my eyes that night, and that was a truly terrifying and disturbing experience. I'm a hunter, and I was out deer hunting one morning in Washington State where I live, out near Darrington. As I was posting up in a spot near a clearing, I couldn't help but start to notice something extremely odd. The entire forest was dead quiet, almost like someone hit a mute button or something. No wind, no animals, no birds, nothing. I began to get a very terrible feeling like something awful was about to happen. So I was preparing to make my way out of the area. As I was making my way back, I thought I saw something moving across the tree line, but I wasn't sure. I pulled out my binoculars and began scanning the tree line. And the only way I can describe what my eyes landed on was what looked like saran wrap. Like something you would see in the movie Predator when the alien goes invisible. It was distorting the trees and grass around it as it moved. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I tried to snap a picture, but it was gone before I got the chance. Suddenly it was like someone unmuted the forest and everything went back to normal, and the awful feeling I had was gone. I don't know what that thing was or what I saw, but I will never go out hunting in that area again. My name is Martin, and this happened over at Fort Casey. I've heard tales of that place being haunted and strange sightings happening in that area. So my friends and I decided to make an adventure out of it and head down there to check it out. Around midnight, we loaded up in my friend's pickup truck and headed towards Fort Casey. We parked along this ridgeline and started making our way towards the fort. It's down in like a valley, and before we got to the ridgeline to make our way down towards that area, we heard what sounded like chanting and a bright light. We cautiously and slowly made our way to an area where we could peek down and see what was going on. I was in shock. It looked like some sort of cult dressed in black robes and standing around a fire chanting to each other. There was even a naked person who seemed to be tied up to some kind of board. It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. And things were about to get so much worse for us. One of the men down at the fire spotted us up on the ridgeline, and they all turned and started running in our direction as fast as they could. I was panicking, and my friends and I got up and started running for our vehicle. We got to the fence, hopped it, and jumped in the truck, and started it just as these people started to make their way to the parking lot. We peeled out of there and took off. I don't know what would have happened had they caught us, but I've never been so terrified in my entire life. My name is Ryland. My friend and I were visiting our friend Derek and his wife at their camper they lived in out in the woods. When we got there, Derek said he had to run out for a minute but would be back shortly. It was kinda odd though, he left his phone and wallet and keys behind when he left. Hours had passed and my friend and I decided to take off since Derek was not back yet. We left and started making our way through the woods. As we were walking, we noticed a very odd sound. The only way I could describe it was like some kind of animal being ripped apart and screaming for its life. My friend and I were scared out of our minds and started shining our flashlights on our phones around the area. Our lights landed on something I'll never forget for as long as I live. It looked like a dog, but it was standing on two legs like a person. And it had something in its hands. Like a dead animal it was eating. As the light hit it, it looked up at us and made the most god-awful noise I've ever heard. My friend and I started running as fast as we could, yelling for help. Somehow my friend and I got separated, and I made it out of the woods and ran back to my house. I haven't heard from my friend, and I'm about to file a missing persons report because he isn't answering his phone, and I haven't seen or heard from him in a couple days. I still can't believe what I saw in those woods. I don't believe in dogmen and werewolves or any of that, but I can't deny what I saw. What kind of dog stands on two legs and sounds like that? And where did Derek go in such a hurry, and why did he not return? So bizarre.